Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from Street Scores, and I have some bad news, some mid news, and some more bad news. Well, kind of bad news. We're not exactly sure yet what's going on, but we're going to talk about it. And the first bad news technically kind of actually is good news, honestly, for real. First up, the Washington Commanders are placing running back Brian Robinson on the reserve non-football injury list after he was shot twice while being the victim of a robbery. This takes the pressure off of him to recover within the first 4 weeks. No timeline, but a chance he's ready by week 5. So we got to talk about this whole Brian Robinson situation and why, even though this is technically bad news, this is actually really good news. Also, with him clearing a roster spot, the Washington Commanders decided to bring back linebacker David Mayo. That's the mid news. And then, I'm not sure if many of y'all know, but we don't exactly know what's going on with Kamren Curl injury-wise, and Ron Rivera is not giving us any information because he's not required to do so until like Thursday before our game next Sunday. So we got to dive into all of that, but before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, again, make sure you subscribe. So much content coming. The Friday night stream every Friday when I get back, the Sunday stream all throughout the regular season, during the game, live analysis, and post-game live stream an hour after the games where y'all call in. I open up the phone lines, you voice your opinions, positive and or negative, about the Commanders. It's going to be a really fun season, and I have endless content coming out throughout the week, even outside of the live streams, previews for games, reviews, Pro Football Focus grades for offense, defense, special teams, advanced analytics, film sessions, all kinds of stuff. So stay tuned, and without further ado, let's get it. Alright, so let's tackle the first situation because these are all three relatively separate situations, even though bringing back David Mayo is possible because Brian Robinson went on the non-football injury list. And the most important part, of course, is the fact that, first of all, he's alive, and the fact that he's healthy, he can run, and he will eventually play again. That's great news. That is ridiculously great news. And now, granted, again, even though it's technically bad news that we will not have him week 1, it's actually confirmed that we won't have him for the first 4 weeks. That's what happens when you get placed on the NFI, the reserve non-football injury list. But at the same time, that's still really good news that it's even possible for him to play again at all, let alone this season. And they could have easily have put him on like the injured reserve to where he has to miss the entire season. So they only have him missing the first 4 weeks, and then we're going to look at it from there, which tells me that whatever news they got, whenever the doctors looked at him and had a chance to actually really examine him on Tuesday, means that he could be back within like 5, maybe 6 weeks or something like that. And maybe he could be back even sooner than that, but they just felt like it wasn't even worth it to rush it. I mean, we've been overly cautious with all of the injuries we've been dealing with this offseason. We're bringing back everybody way later than they could have came back, which is a good thing, especially for the offseason. Granted, you want guys to get as many reps as they can in practice and stuff like that, especially these rookies, but hey man, health above all else. And for Brian Robinson's case, health, safety, and all of that above all else, especially football. But again, of course, I'm still a little sad that we will not get a chance to see him week 1, but I already knew once I saw him in crutches that it was highly unlikely that we would see him play week 1. I mean, first of all, the entire situation, but after he came out of the hospital the day after and everybody was saying that he looked really good, there was a little bit of hope that he may be able to play week 1, but of course, that was not very realistic. So at first I was like, okay, does that mean Jaret Patterson gets upgraded? Does that mean it's his opportunity to shine? Nope. The Washington Commanders decided to bring back David Mayo. And that's really interesting too, because now the running back group is Antonio Gibson, your RB1. Does that mean he's still your starting kick returner, or do they take him out of special teams because now you need him as your primary running back? JD McKissick is your second running back, and then Jonathan Williams is like a nerfed version of Brian Robinson. So those are your 3 running backs right there, and that's it. I thought they would bring up Jaret Patterson and keep 4, but apparently they will not. So again, the reason Jaret Patterson wasn't brought back up is that they felt the need to bring back David David Mayo, which, man, I remember when we picked up Jon Bostic yesterday, my whole debate was, well, I mean, David Mayo's the better tackler, but Jon Bostic is the smarter player, but they're both absolutely terrible in coverage, complete liabilities in coverage. So I'm hoping that these guys are just veteran depth. But are they? Like, do they intend to make these guys play in somewhat of a rotation and actually get meaningful snaps, even if Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb are fully healthy? I'm worried about that. And then even so, we are one injury away from one of these guys that can't cover to save their lives starting. Milo Eifler is technically the backup to Jamin Davis because of both of them being crazy athletes, and they have a lot of potential to cover, and the run game is just going to come with time and technique and reps. Cole Holcomb's your solid guy, improving in coverage, really good against the run, all of that type of stuff. And I felt like he was improving as like a defensive leader, IQ guy, getting everybody where they need to be before the snap comes, like a defensive quarterback type of thing. But I'm guessing the Commanders don't feel that way, or maybe Cole Holcomb has some injury maybe we just don't know about, because they went and brought in Jon Bostic, where that's literally all he can do. He's the pre-snap quarterback. Pre-snap, he's great. All pro. But once the ball is snapped, he's one of the worst players on the field, if not the worst. And then David Mayo, take away some of that IQ, add some better tackling. Because remember, Jon Bostic was out there missing tackles like crazy before he even got hurt against the Falcons. So then David Mayo comes with improved tackling. But the coverage is, I can't even debate who's worse at coverage. But Jon Bostic is obviously the smarter linebacker. But again, David Mayo is obviously the better tackler. Either way, both of those guys, we don't want to see them in the game under any circumstances. At this point, I really just hope Milo Eifler is third on the depth chart, especially off of what he did in the preseason. But I doubt it. I'm pretty sure he's fifth. I'm pretty sure they have him fifth on the depth chart. And if there's an injury to Cole Holcomb or Jamin Davis, one of those guys will step up and get the starting snaps. Even though, like I said, Milo Eifler is technically the only eligible backup to a Jamin Davis that can even possibly cover somebody out there. So if there were an injury to Jamin Davis, I would assume that Milo Eifler would get those reps, but I'm pretty sure he wouldn't get all of them. They're going to find a way to rotate David Mayo and Jon Bostic in these games, and I'm very worried about that because teams are going to look at them and be like, oh, forget this play. I know we were originally running the ball on 3rd and 2, but David Mayo and Jon Bostic on the field, let's just throw it to a tight end running in their zone area. That's what I would do literally every play. And of course, tight end Curtis Hodges was placed on the injured reserve list, but I already announced that yesterday. But the Washington Commanders officially announced it on their website and Twitter account today. And I just don't understand how they think this would work. I understand going with like a safer veteran guy at this point in the offseason if you're going to bring a guy in. But one of my main points has always been, why are you paying these coaches millions of dollars to bring in guys that you know will do a certain thing? They have no room to grow, and they're not going to make the mistakes in the areas of their game that you're confident in them and why they were brought here. Again, David Mayo's tackling and run stopping, Jon Bostic's pre-snap stuff, and I guess technically run stopping, even though he's not a great tackler. Once guys get to the outside, it's over with. So I'm just confused there. What are you paying these coaches to do if you're bringing in two players that really need absolutely no development? Because where are they going to grow? How are they going to get better? Their biggest weaknesses are easily just working in open space and coverage. You can't teach that. They just don't have the bodies for that. Jamin Davis and Milo Eifler, on the other hand, are freak athletes, have a lot of potential, and that's why you pay coaches to develop guys like that. So I'm just not I understand maybe bringing in one, and even then when we signed Jon Bostic yesterday, I was like, I don't know what to do with this at all. I was trying to find a positive, but now that you bring back David Mayo as well, now we got the mid mob out there potentially. I'm scared. We have two linebackers that look like they're running in sand now. Just one injury away from one of them starting, two injuries away from both of them starting. And another problem I have is that you usually have the younger linebackers for, again, development. Like I said, what are you paying these coaches for? But also special teams. David Mayo is a good special teams player, but I love having younger, more athletic, hungry guys on special teams. And so I'm just not understanding this at all, because Jon Bostic doesn't contribute on special teams. David Mayo at least does, but Jon Bostic doesn't. And again, we went the route of potential and bring them in, we'll coach them up, we'll get them right with the cornerback group with the two guys we claimed yesterday in Tariq and Rashad. But then you turn around in the linebacker group and go get Mr. Lockney and Mr. Lost in Space. I don't know what's going on. And then lastly, before we get up out of here, Ron Rivera has not given an official update on what's going on with Kamren Curl. So his status is apparently unclear right now, and that definitely worries me because he's one of our best defensive players. He was wearing an arm sling yesterday in yesterday's days practice, only watching, not practicing. So I don't know how likely he is to play week 1 at this point. We really do not know. Again, Ron Rivera is not obligated to tell us until later on, but that's still really crazy and scary for this defense. But yeah, man, I mean, outside of that Kamren Curl situation, and I hope to get more news on that and be able to update y'all on that as soon as possible. But like, man, this linebacker situation, why not go upside with your depth? Like, I understand you want some guaranteed guys, but it's sending mixed messaging by the fact that we didn't decide to do that at all with the cornerback position. Again, remember, out of our 6 corners, 2 are rookies and 2 are guys that are only in their second year, and both of those second year guys haven't even played enough games combined to count as 1 year between Rashad and Benjamin St-Juste from what they did last year. Rashad played 5 games last year. Benjamin St-Juste may have played 5. And then again, Christian Holmes, 7th round rookie. Tariq is a 6th round rookie that didn't make the 49ers 53-man roster. And then you have William Jackson III and Kendall Fuller. I was thinking they would go veteran there, upside with linebacker. They did the complete opposite. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I guess we'll see, man. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video, this entire situation, the linebacker group, the Brian Robinson being on the NFI list, and of course Kamren Curl's injury. He's out there wearing a sling on his arm watching practices, and we still haven't gotten an update on what's going on with him as well. So definitely leave a like on this video if you liked it, if you learned anything. And of course, I appreciate all the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors whose names you see scrolling on the screen right now. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.